Fairytale is back, and like I said, for the last 3 weeks, how I always say it, this is basically the beginning of the arc, how they always start where everyone Fairytale, basically it's bodied at the beginning by a bunch of no-name that no one cares about. Yeah, so we start off back with the miners in Natsu, and last week I asked if they know that he's a wizard, why are they willing to pick a fight with him, because it's a wizard. But apparently wizards don't seem to get a lot of respect in this town. In fact, he even says that all wizards are puny. That's when Natsu thinks of, 3 muscular men who are wizards. Well, technically 2 muscular and 1 fat guy, but still, the point is, the idea that wizards are puny is kind of ridiculous. Surprising enough, Natsu doesn't immediately just destroy these guys. He actually tries to learn some information. Of course, they completely ignore him and decide to spit out the 4 rules of coal mining. First rule is look in every direction, which makes sense. If you're in a mine, you gotta be able to know your surroundings. 2, make sure your tools are maintained properly. 3, dig. And then 4, and this is when everyone starts to get serious and stop acting like jackasses, is get rid of anything in our way, and he tries to stomp out Natsu. Completely missing. He actually uses the pickaxe to actually throw rubble at Natsu, and he then starts to beat it into the ground over and over again, basically building a momentum until it gets really hot, because apparently it was forged with alchemy, so it has magical properties. So Natsu thinks that this must be something personal between him and them. He must have did something, but he can't really think of anything, and he's just basically ignoring this guy, trying to figure out what did he do wrong to make this guy angry. When the guy decides to hit him in the head with the pickaxe, it does absolutely nothing. In fact, the pickaxe melts because, Natsu's a fire dragon. So no matter how hot that thing gets, Natsu will always burn hotter. Natsu just seems to lose his patience with the whole thing, and then pretends to sneeze and basically fire breath all of them. It's just a giant explosion. Oh yeah, all the coal miners get fried, and part of the town is just demolished, because Natsu, Fairytale, pretty much what they do. The guy with the camera also notices the explosion, doesn't really mind it very much, he ignores it, goes back to the fact that he now holds up a photo of Urza and Jalal trapped in it, and inside the photo, they're basically just squished together, real cramped, and Jalal's face is actually smacking into Urza's breastplate, and it's actually beginning to hurt him, and so she decides to unquip her armor to make it softer for him, and it gets real soft because she completely erases all of her clothes, and you just lands right on her breasts. Now, this is a common reaction that Urza would do because she has basically no shame of any kind like that, unless when it comes to Jalal. So basically, she wasn't thinking at this moment, because when he mentions that she didn't have to remove all of her clothes, that's when they both get embarrassed. And then Urza, of course, puts back some clothing. But yeah, this proves that they can use magic inside, which means they could probably use magic to escape. And most likely Jalal could probably use his star magic to basically just blast the guy who was holding them hostage at the moment. Forgot this guy's name again, but I just like calling him Dumbass anyway. So Dumbass is still stalking Gray and Wendy, walks up behind them when they're all alone, and he, instead of switching them with the bodies of their loved one, the one they love the most, he switches them with mineral. So yeah, this place seems to have a lot of hacks abilities. At least that seems to be Alchemy's thing. It's just hacks. Funny thing is, Diablo's also had a lot of hacks abilities now that I think about it. So this seems to be just something that this continent has. It's just, instead of just raw power, it's about hacks, which is pretty useful, I suppose. Yeah, so the skeleton face old lady also catches Lucy and Happy. She doesn't seem to use any kind of alchemy, though. She just uses gas, straight up just knockout gas. She even wears a mask, so she isn't affected. Now, I know Natsu's an idiot. I mean, I get it. This is just retarded. So, even though the coal miners mention that they were targeting him from Fairytale, he doesn't take this as this means that all of Fairytale's being targeted. Instead, he just assumed this was just a personal issue between him and them. He goes back to the hotel where they were all supposed to meet up, and he's confused that no one else showed up. Seriously, he needs Minerva to put 2 and 2 together for him to make him realize Fairytale was targeted and taken out. Come on, Natsu. I know you're stupid. Shouldn't be that stupid. As you can imagine, most of her guild doesn't actually believe this is possible because it's Fairytale. They're way too strong to be taken out. But Minerva points out that these are alchemists, not wizards. They might have abilities that we don't have a counter for, and we just don't know anything about. And that's when Natsu actually starts to think about it and realizes that yes, the rest of his guild was in fact captured. But what's funny is, why was Fairytale even targeted in the first place? They even asked this themselves. Why Fairytale? They have no connection to Golden Owl of any kind, other than God Serena for that one moment, but that doesn't really matter. There obviously has to be something more important. There's something the Fairytale Guild have, or the information that they know that the Golden Owl probably wants. What that is, your guess is as good as mine. obviously involves the dragon gods, because they're all after the dragon gods. Everyone is. Diablos, Fairy Tail, and apparently the Golden Owl. I don't see why the Golden Owl would even need a Fairy Tail to go after the dragon god. So it's kind of just weird that they would even waste their time with Fairy Tail. I mean, it makes sense while Fairy Tail's going after the Golden Owl, they have Athena. But what does Fairy Tail have that the Golden Owl need to go after the dragon gods? I just don't get it. But yeah, after finally putting 2 and 2 together, Natsu, of course, starts to rush out the door when he's stopped by Sting and Rogue. And that's when Sting offers for Natsu to get their help, because obviously he's going to need their help. Natsu, proving that he's an idiot again, assumes this means that Sting is inviting him to join Sabretooth. No. In fact, they even point out, no, we don't want you in our guild. I'm not surprised by that. Having Natsu in your guild is basically just you owing a bunch of cities money because of all the property damage. I still have no idea how Fairy Tail runs a profit. But yeah, this is basically just how all Fairy Tail arcs start. Everyone gets captured and beaten by the enemy, usually the weaker forces of the enemy. And then they have a second fight where they kick all their asses. They go back to their leadership, the stronger ones, and you have a proper arc from there on out. With that being said, the Diablo's arc actually took a while. Now that I think about it, Diablo's saga, I would go with that, because it was multiple arcs within the Diablo's saga, because they get their asses kicked in the beginning on the ship, then they get the revenge, then they meet them during the Wood Dragon arc, then they meet him again in another dimension with the Selene arc, and then finally in the Labyrinth arc. So it was actually 4 separate arcs. Oh wait, forgetting the Sea God, 5 arcs. So yeah, there was a lot of fighting with Diablos, now that I think about it. So that might actually happen with the Golden Owl. You have people who aren't members of the Golden Owl, just associates. Then we'll get some low-level members, and then some mid-tier members, and then we'll get to the high tiers, where we'll actually have big old throw-out fights. That actually sounds pretty fun. Having multiple arcs within an entire saga. I can't imagine it'll be the same as having with the Diablos, because there aren't that many dragon gods anymore. There's only the golden and the fire. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give a thumbs up, so you can enjoy more Fairy Tail and other anime things. Thank you, and have a great day.